Welcome to Voices from the Bench, a dental laboratory podcast. Send us an email at info@voicesfromthebench.com or look for us on Facebook at Voices from the Bench. Greetings and welcome to episode 109 of Voices from the Bench. My name is Elvis.
My name is Barbara, but you guys know that already. Welcome. How's everybody doing? How are you doing, actually? You're the one that's been in quarantine for 2 months.
Still quarantined. The good news is Indiana, starting today, which is the Monday, is going to start allowing dental offices to see non-emergency patients.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yep.
Yeah.
That's really positive. So what are you saying, Monday? This coming Monday?
When this airs, the 27th is when they're allowed to.
All right, so today.
Yeah, I've already talked to a few offices. Some of them actually have pickups. Some of them are stating that they have a few patients scheduled that week. But many of them are still kind of holding off a little bit.
I'm sure they're scared.
Yeah, they're either scared, the patients are scared, or what's kind of crazy, and we talk about this with Bennett here in a bit, having to do some of the crazy kind of new protocols. Patients have to wait out in their cars until their appointment comes in. They can't have anything out like magazines or toys for the kids.
Wow.
All the employees have to take their temperature twice a day. Everyone has to wear masks.
Yeah, life as we know it is changing. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy times.
Yeah.
But I mean, the good news is we're starting to bring people back into the lab, which is nice because it's been a while.
Yep.
You know, limited crew, of course, but hopefully we'll start to see an increase in work and eventually everybody. It's a positive start.
Well, like I said, I've been optimistic optimistic as I can be, but the key is, how do you bring your people back? How many at a time? How about your capacity numbers? How quickly is it going to rebound? I think that's something we've been doing at night, is planning for everybody to come back. And what does that look like? And when do we bring them back? And it's good to have that complicated, situation of how to bring everybody back, but it's going to take a lot of thought to do it. So, and my son who works with me, he's like, I'm so ready to get back to work. I'm like, I know.
What makes it even more complicated is a lot of employees are making a good amount of money on unemployment with that additional $600 a week.
Yep.
So while you want to encourage them to come back, at the same time, you actually find out who your good and bad employees are.
Yeah.
Some of them don't want to. I've run into that.
I know.
So what about Florida? Any word on when dental offices will open?
The governor hasn't really said it yet. We're probably, I think it was like the 11th of May has been the startup date all along, and that hasn't changed. They are talking about opening up beaches, which I'm super excited about because, I've been running on it, but I'd like to kind of go to the beach or just kind of have a little bit of normalcy. So they're arguing back and forth about that. They opened Jacksonville Beach, and that went really well. So now they're talking about my county, which is Pinellas. So that would be a plus for me. I would actually maybe go there and just have some normalcy with my mask on. And hey, have you seen everybody wearing masks in Publix and stuff, or have you left the house? And if you have, the only place I really go is work in Publix. And I would say probably we're up to about 85% of people wearing masks in Publix at this point.
No, I have not been much anywhere, really. But what I have witnessed is a lot of people wearing masks just walking around the neighborhood.
Yep.
That's a good thing.
It's crazy.
Anything we can do to help.
Yeah. All right. So let's focus on our podcast for a moment. That's a little bit of normalcy for you and I.
Yeah, let's get back to normal, and let's do a quick update from our good friend Bennett Napier from the NADL that we recorded in the afternoon of Saturday, April 25th.
Roll it, partner.
Well, we'd like to welcome back to the podcast yet again for an update on the COVID-19 and the dental laboratory industry. We welcome back Bennett Napier from the NADL. How are you, sir?
Doing okay. Every day, every week gets a little bit better. So I think that's what we're all looking for and seeing. So we're starting to see some optimism start to return. I know it's going to be a long journey, but every day and every week gets better, I think, hopefully for people.
Definitely, Elvis and I would like to thank the NADL and you, Bennett, for taking a lead position on all of this and getting as much information out as possible. You guys had a great webinar last week. I think you're going to have a really good one this coming week. So We appreciate you guys doing all you do.
No, appreciate it. That's what NADL is here for, and good times and bad times. We're glad to be able to be a resource amongst other people and organizations that are doing the same. So happy to be a part of, hopefully, people's turnaround and solutions going forward.
Agreed.
Yeah, last week we started to get some good news. The death rates are starting to drop in a lot of the hot areas, and actually some of the states' dental offices are starting to open up. Indiana being one of them. I hear Utah is open. There's a handful of others. What have you been hearing, Bennett?
So ADA has put forward a spreadsheet, if you will, state by state, kind of updating the orders, and they're updating it weekly. So the last update was April 24th at 5 p.m. And NADL has a link on our NADL.org news page to that spreadsheet so people can check specific states. So, just looking at, where we were as the close of business April 24th. So we got 22 states effectively that will open back dental offices by April 30th. Like you said, a few have already started that path, but 22. We've got 19 that will open sometime during May. It varies between May 1st, May 15th, that kind of range, but 19 other states. Now, obviously, this can change. And then 2 states are still kind of outliers that would open up June 15th.
Wow.
The remainder of the states effectively didn't have any dates, meaning that it's still left to the discretion to the practitioner to make determinations on what types of treatment that they want to do and can do safely and effectively. So that they effectively can, some are already open and then others will come on quicker. So I think the good news is the vast majority are obviously either in April by April 30th or sometime in early May. So that's the vast majority of the 50 states. Obviously, we've got territories and District of Columbia, that kind of thing, that are also in the mix that have different mandates. But, the good news is most everybody's going to be online within the next, 2 to 2.5 weeks.
Awesome. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So many people want to get back to work and back to normal, or a little bit of whatever the new normal is. And so that's
Right.
really good. So we've got about a week, 2 to 3 weeks.
Somewhere in that ballpark. Yeah. I think everybody in the supply chain, and I say, whether it's patients, practitioners, assistants, hygienists, obviously laboratories and technicians, and all of our personnel. There's still a lot of social media interaction, if you will, and inquiry on what are the right PPE for each person in the chain in terms of precautions. And so NADL is hosting a webinar April 30th, and that is effectively going to be, again, with our partners at SafeLink Consulting. The topic is protecting patients and staff when reopening the dental practice, because we really believe that as much as laboratories can, as partners for their clients, help give some resources and messaging, if you will, to help get patients back in the chair, that this will be a really attractive webinar for people. We've had a lot of inquiries about that, and so I think we just announced it late Friday, and we've already gotten almost 300 registrants already for a webinar that's a week away. So we have made sure and communicated that webinar to AACD and American Dental Association as well, even though there's a limit of 500 people. Just as we have been, we'll record the webinar and then post the webinar, and then people can download it on demand for free and go back. If they're not able to get the live version, they can get it with maybe a business day after the event. So we know that one's going to be really high value for people, and we're looking forward to that one.
Looking forward to it as well.
Like I said, invite clients, dental clients, because SafeLink is a AGD approved CE provider. So since NADL is kind of co-hosting, if you will, the event, we're able to work with them to deliver AGD credits for dentists that attend, if you have clients that want to attend from that standpoint.
Okay. Sure thing.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a really good one, because even though Indiana is opening up, there's a lot of things offices need to do in order to open up.
Absolutely. The good news is things are starting to open back up. That's the good news. But, as we've been saying, not only us, but others, just looking forward, everything's not going to come back all at once. And I think that's, we just want people to be not only mentally prepared, for the length of this journey in terms of turnaround, but also just kind of what potentially could occur. And so American Dental Association Health Policy Institute, many people know they have their own in-house economist at ADA, and they put out a report and they did a webinar, and it's on YouTube. We actually have a link to that YouTube presentation off of our Facebook page, but it's modeling the impact of COVID-19 on U.S. dental spending.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly laboratories, manufacturers, suppliers, and dentists clearly, have been drawn to that report. It's about a 13-page report, but I mean, the bottom line is, as it stands, could it get better, could it get worse, but just based on their economists and their research thus far, what they've seen and what it looks like going forward, that we would see a decline on dental care spending, basically a 66% decline in 2020, and then a 32% decline in 2021. So the point of the matter is people need to be prepared from a business perspective on, what that looks like. How do you look at scheduling your staff? What are the production scenarios and workflow scenarios that can help the laboratory stay in business profitably, but also be in a position, as things recover, that they're ready for production as it comes back. So I think it's a good report for people to look at. Hopefully, I think it would only get better in terms of those predictions, but I think it's important for people to kind of have that context to work from, and then kind of plan out what the 6-12 months period look like and be prepared for the best case and worst case scenario.
Do you really think that's different than any other industry, though? Really, if you think about it? I mean, I imagine the airlines are having the exact same predictions.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Elvis. I mean, there's a lot of sectors that may even be worse than dentistry, which is hard to imagine. I think the key is, Barb and I had some interviews with some manufacturer suppliers recently, and we talked just to some of the things that you've seen in terms of just what we were talking about earlier, is because of the proximity of the staff and the patients in the clinical setting. Basically, dentists, hygienists, and assistants are basically in the top 3 occupations, if you will, of concern as it relates to COVID-related risk.
Absolutely.
If proper precautions aren't in place, which that's the difference, if you will, compared to some other sectors, is they may have more ability to mitigate that proximity compared to what we would see in dentistry. So I think that's the major difference there. And obviously there's tools that we can implement in the clinical setting to provide, safe and effective settings, but some cases they're expensive. Some cases they're, still a work in progress to determine which ones are the right ones to utilize and integrate. But I think that's the biggest issue, is everybody knows that in terms of the proximity, and we've got to provide messaging, if you will, to ensure the patient feels very confident coming back into the clinical setting.
Yeah.
Agree.
The Foundation for Dental Laboratory Technology, I know we shared on one of the webinars, obviously their learning library through the end of May is free, if you will, with a promo code. And that one's, probably we've gotten close to 1,000 downloads off of that online learning library.
That's awesome.
Since it was launched in March, which is phenomenal. Because of that, we've had a lot of interest from clinicians and technicians that wanted, obviously we're all in the world of webinars now, and we've been very, I could say lucky and privileged to have a number of clinicians and technicians come forward to the foundation offering to do some technical webinars. So the foundation primarily works on online content, but they are going to be doing some live webinars starting in May. First one is with Dr. Miles Cohn, who's also a certified dental technician. And so we're going to be starting to do some technical webinars in the summer for people, assuming, that most of the in-person meetings will probably not take place at least till late summer, early fall. And so that's a good service. Hopefully the foundation donors and other people would like to potentially utilize. The other piece I will share just from a business perspective, for the owners and managers that are listeners on the podcast, is certainly there was another round of funding for the Paycheck Protection Program. The portal for that opens up April 27th at 10:30 Eastern Time. So people who had loan applications and didn't get approved on the first round, they'll have another opportunity. But what I would also share is, that one's going to go quick, just like the first one did. Congress is already looking at, although they probably won't reconvene earlier than May 4th, Congress is already talking about another wave of funding specifically for the Paycheck Protection Program. So again, people have been trying to determine their timing of bringing people back into the workforce, if you will. And, a lot of people have been shut down, as you know. Both of you have been in that situation just because the work's not there. And so from a timing standpoint, I just want people to be aware that probably mid to late May, Congress is pretty likely to approve another round of Paycheck Protection Program funding. That people need to potentially consider that if the timing is going to be better for them, given the context that you've got to have, either the workforce on payroll or bring the workforce back during that 8-week period. So that's just something people need to be aware of to look for that third round of funding that's likely to occur.
Yeah, good.
But I think those are the key things. You just appreciate you continue to do what you're doing and sharing the message. It's just, again, we've been talking about it on your podcast the last few weeks, just the resilience. It's been tough for people. There's no way to sugarcoat it. I think people have a lot of optimism and a lot of faith and are ready to get back to work.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing I've been hearing from everybody on social media is we're all ready to get back to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we all have a lot of optimism for sure on the NADL webinar. The host asked everybody if they were optimistic, and I would say more than 90% of the folks texted that they were. So I think there's a lot of optimism.
Yeah, that was a great webinar. I recommend everyone to go check out that if you missed it. It was really good. Awesome. Well, we appreciate it as always, Bennett.
Well, thank you.
Yep, thank you both.
Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to the day where we're talking about podcasts when you guys have been on site at a trade show and interviewing all the fine attendees and speakers. So waiting for those days to come ahead.
Tell me about it. I'm dying to get out of here.
We're all still at home practicing social distancing on a Saturday. So we're all pretty much going to watch movies and hang out and clean and just chill. But stay safe, everybody.
All right. Thank you both.
Thanks, Bennett.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
As always, we appreciate your time and efforts during all this to keep us updated, Bennett. But I think now we should get to our regularly scheduled interview, where we're going to take you back once again to LMT LabDay Chicago 2020. The good old days of traveling and gathering.
Yeah.
And the great part of a dental event is meeting new people and seeing old friends.
Yep.
And today's episode highlights both. Recently, on this podcast, we had the president of the Association of Orthodontic Laboratory Professionals on. And while I was recording at the Argon booth, I had a chance to have a conversation with the vice president of the AOLP.
Nice.
Tiffany Prater, CDT from Fort Worth, Texas, comes on to talk about her journey from going from dental assistant to being an owner of her own ortho lab. Great story.
Then we are joined, and I was actually there because this is on Saturday, by my good friends, Heather Voss, CDT, who's been on the podcast many times before, and Leon Hermanides, CDT from Washington State. Leon, with some help from Heather, talks about how he got into the business and taking his well-known high-end lab and adapting it to the changing market. Good conversations and fun at the Argon booth at LMT Chicago 2020. Enjoy, guys. How would you like to create beautiful zirconia restorations in just a little over 3 hours? Anyone? Now you can, because Whitmix happily announces that after extensive outside research, Vericore ZR Pro and Vericore ZR Pro ML, which is multi-layered zirconia, can now be safely speed-sintered. The new cycle saves hours of processing time and has no effect on the zirconia's flexural strength and no significant effect on the material's natural aesthetics. The previously recommended sintering cycle usually requires anywhere between 7 to 8 hours to complete. And as you know, most labs sinter overnight with that schedule. The total time to complete the speed cycle is slightly more than 3 hours. This enables us to meet the demand for time and cost savings. The decrease in time means a substantial increase in productivity, and of course, that enables us to rush the orders, which, as you know, in December is pretty much all we do. So your lab can now enjoy fast processing Vericore ZR Pro, one of the industry's most beautiful zirconia materials. Learn more at whitmix.com. And Elvis and I, again, would like to thank Whitmix for your support of the podcast. We appreciate you guys.
Voices from the Bench. The interview. So good morning, Tiffany.
Good morning.
What's your last name? I don't even know.
Prater.
Prater.
Remember, there's a park in Austria named, it's got my last name. We learned
Nice.
that last night.
Named after your family?
Yeah, but they said it different than Prater.
Well, most people say things different than we do.
Yeah.
So I met you last night.
Yep.
We had a great time at Harry Carey's.
Yes,
That
we
was
did.
awesome. Great
Yep.
time. We closed the place down.
We did.
I think we were the last to
I think we
leave.
ate all the sliders, too. Just me and you.
Those things were delish. What were they, like fried onions on them or something? I don't know.
They were
but
brisket. They were barbecue. They did have some fried onions
Yeah.
on them, but I don't know. They were just
well,
good.
when you're cheap like me and you take any food you can get,
Yes.
they were
I haven't
amazing.
paid for a meal except for breakfast yesterday.
That's the way to do it.
Yep.
I just paid for my first meal. I found a McDonald's. It's like being at home.
Yeah.
So, Tiffany Prater,
Yes.
we are at LMTU Lab Day Saturday. You were the first to sit down with me. Congratulations.
Thanks.
You're an ortho technician.
I am.
So I met you through Chris, who we
Yes.
had on the podcast a couple weeks ago,
Uh-huh.
and you're the vice president of the Association of Orthodontic Laboratory Professionals.
Correct.
From now on, we'll say AOLP.
Yes.
Because it's a really
That's all
long
we ever
yeah,
say, yeah.
it's hard to say it. So how'd you get into ortho?
I started out as an assistant working
Yeah?
in an orthodontic office. That's kind of how I just saw.
So why'd you become an assistant? Is it in your family? Or?
No, I was literally walking through. It was the community college I was going to.
Okay.
And there was a flyer on the wall, and I saw it. And I was taking courses, like I was trying to finish a degree, but I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Which degree was this?
I hadn't decided.
So
I was
you're just
undecided.
general studies, yeah.
I was just going to college, getting the basics done, and I saw the flyer. I was like, oh, that sounds kind of interesting. And
I like putting my hands in people's mouths. Is that what you
Well,
thought to yourself?
It was more of the medical. I've always enjoyed medical
Okay.
stuff, but I knew I didn't want to be a nurse or anything because I don't do throw up at all. So,
You have a line.
yeah, I
You
draw
don't
that
cry.
line real hard right there. So, for some reason in my mind, I thought if I was ever going to be a nurse, I was going to be dealing with throw up a lot.
Yeah.
So I thought, nope, I don't want to do it. But then I saw this program, and I was like, oh, that's kind of medical related, and I thought I wouldn't have to deal with throw up. There's actually more throw up involved in assisting
I bet.
than I thought, but luckily I never dealt with it. Like, I always avoided throw up.
So if you had a patient you knew that was going to be a throw up, you were like, I'm not doing it?
Typically they only throw up with impressions.
Yeah.
So I just learned some tricks, and honestly, out of the 10 years I assisted, I never had anybody throw up.
You assisted for
on
10
me.
years.
Mhm.
Wow, okay.
So, I mean, I had some gaggers, but
Yeah.
not anything came from that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just saw this flyer, and I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. And I called my dad. I was 21
Yeah.
and still living at their house, trying to figure out my life.
Sure.
And called my dad, and I told him what I wanted to do, and they were like, this is not, no.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I think this would be good. So the program started in 3 days.
Wow.
I did it.
You made that decision.
Yep. My mom actually, at the time, did work for an orthodontist, but she hadn't always done that, and she just worked front desk.
Oh, so that's your connection. I mean, she was
Kind
front
of,
office. Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, she worked at the orthodontist that my brother and I went to, so
Okay.
he did our braces. I don't know what it was, but when I finished the program and got my certificate, I would go into the office she worked at and observed, and they had an in-house lab. And their lab tech, her name was Dawn, and she was super cool, and she just had this setup. She was in a little room by herself,
Yep.
listened to her own music, had pictures of her family hanging out.
Yep.
So I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. I like her little setup.
Yeah.
But I was 21, 22. I thought assisting would be what I did forever. And then when I was 23, I had my son. And I was working 50 hours a week to
Really?
pay bills. And I thought, this sucks. This is not what I want to do. So I went back to school and finished a business degree. Still really wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I thought this should open more doors, right?
Sure, yeah.
It really didn't. All the interviews that I went to, starting pay was like $10 an hour. And I was
With a
like,
degree in business?
Yes. And as an assistant, I was making at the time, I think like $17 an hour. So that was quite a...
This is in Texas?
Uh-huh.
What's the regulation for assisting? Is it licensed or is it a registered? Or
You have a certificate, RDA, Registered Dental Assistant. So it's not a degree. And you don't have to go to a school. If you can find a doctor that will train you.
Oh, really?
You can do that and then go take the test. But I just went to
Sure.
the community colleges program. Like when I realized, oh man, this business degree isn't
it's not
doing what I was hoping it would do. Owning a business had always kind of been in the back of my mind because of my dad. My dad is he's brilliant with money and just smart, and he's worked for General Motors for 30-something years now. So he used to always tell my brother, if you want to do what you want to do, you need to own your own business. Don't work corporate.
Don't work for the man. Yeah.
So I was like, all right, what can I do? What can I own a business in? And so it was kind of the perfect mesh of doing an ortho lab because I still got to use my dental experience.
Yeah.
And I really did enjoy the lab side. I always loved pouring up impressions and doing the suck downs and that kind of stuff. So the doctor I worked for at the time helped train me on just bending wires, how to bend clasp, how to do acrylic, and then he helped me get through my CDT test. So I got that. I think I finished the last test in 2016.
How was the written part of the test? Because I know a lot of it is not ortho whatsoever.
It's not. It was actually, it sucked. It
I
wasn't
bet.
beneficial, honestly, for my specialty.
I hear that a lot from ortho technicians.
Yeah.
To get your CDT, you got to struggle through that other aspect of it that's has nothing to do with you.
Yeah. Truthfully, the only reason I passed it is because of my assisting background. That's really it.
Yeah.
Because some of those questions I was reading and I thought, how would you know this if you didn't work in an office?
Yeah.
Maybe you would. I don't know anything about crown and denture and bridge.
Yeah,
That's not, I don't ever want to do that stuff. But this little ortho that was on there talked about appliances that nobody uses anymore.
Really?
And so, and the only reason I did my CDT is because I have to in the state of Texas. I have to have a CDT to have a registered lab. So it's just one of those legality things.
Yeah, but it's still nice that you have it.
It is. I'm
you should be
proud
proud
that
of
I
it.
have
Heck
it.
yeah.
But I do wish it would just benefit ortho people more.
Yeah.
And I know there's not a whole lot. When I did the written test, there was only one other person doing ortho. And when I did my practical, there was only one other person doing, and everyone else, I don't know what all they were doing, but it wasn't ortho.
It wasn't ortho. Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of CDT orthos out there. I don't know the numbers, but you always hear about the removable and the partials and the ceramic, but you don't run into many ortho. Yeah. You guys should start your own club.
We did. That's why we have the AOLP.
There you go. There you go. Yep. So this orthodontist you were working for showed you, did he use a lab or did he do it all himself?
He did a little bit himself.
Yeah.
But he also did send some stuff out to a local lab. It's called Precision Orthodontics. The owner's name is Scott. He's actually on the board with us, too, for the AOLP. He's awesome.
Did he train you at all, or did you, learn from him?
The doctor, Dr. Motherwell is his name, and he did take me over to Scott's lab one day to, I forget what they were showing me. I think it was how to set screws or something. And I remember kind of being like, I don't know if he's going to be okay with that. Like, does this guy know I want to open a lab and I live in the area?
Oh, at this time you knew you wanted to open a lab.
And so I was like, that's kind of competition, right? Like, I don't know. And he was like, no, it'll be fine. He won't care. And he didn't. Like, Scott is awesome. He's been very helpful. Even when I was first starting out and I didn't know how to do something or if I needed something I ran out of, like, I can text him and ask if he's got a screw or,
No kidding. That is great.
So, but we all have this understanding, like, I don't go after his accounts. I don't know who he has, but I don't purposely go after his stuff. And I don't think he does that to me either.
If you go after it, it's all about who does the quality work that office is looking for.
Yeah.
I mean, if they switch to you, and this is the way I feel with other labs in our area, if they switch to us, it's not because we're better. There's a reason they're switching.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm trying to steal it. I'm just giving them an option.
Right. And that's kind of what, if I hear of an office that's looking for a lab, I mean, I'll take stuff, but I don't know who they were using before.
No,
or,
I don't even ask.
Yeah.
Sometimes they tell me.
Yeah.
But I don't even ask.
Well, I will tell you, when I was an assistant, there was some other labs that we would get stuff from that I would, like, I knew the word. I mean, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
It's cheaper stuff. Yeah. And so as an assistant, I would see that stuff. But I don't know what it's like now. It's been a long time since
you've opened up your own lab. Mm-hmm. This is in your house?
Not anymore.
But it started in your house? Did. Like the garage or basement, or what'd you do?
In my garage. We don't have basements in Texas.
No?
We should because of all of our tornadoes, but we don't. So, yes.
Plus it's cooler underground.
It is. No, built my house. It was 2016, I guess. I moved into it in September. And I always kind of knew, like, I wanted to have a spot somewhere in my home to work from.
So when you built the house.
I mean, not me, actually. But
no, I know that. But
signed a contract and picked out all the stuff.
But did you build it knowing you're going to have a lab in the garage, so you plumb it for, like, air and all this stuff?
If I had been smart, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't do plumbing, but my dad is amazing.
Yeah.
And so
it's good to have good fathers and family.
Oh, yeah. I was actually in Michigan one weekend for a training. When I was working for an office, it was a whole other realm of things. But I was in Michigan, and when I came home, my dad was like, I'm just going to warn you, your garage is a construction zone right now. And he had started framing out where my lab was going to be. It took, I don't know, like a month or two to finish it. But then got in there, and that's where I worked from. So I did that for about a year, and I really thought I would be there for at least 5.
Yeah.
I really did. But that year at our conference in Texas, I met a man that wanted to retire, and he was in South Fort Worth, and he just wanted someone to hand over his accounts to.
It was already an orthodontic lab,
Mm-hmm.
so the setup was there.
Yeah. So he retired December of 2018, and I got all of his stuff January of 2019. And I didn't understand how much I was getting. And so I was working in my little lab. It was like 4 feet by 8 feet. It's not big at all. And it was rough. I was pulling all-nighters all the time and just...
So, like, you went from how many accounts roughly to how many?
I had like 2 or 3, but, I mean, it wasn't... It was kind of like I was doing it on the side. I was still assisting part-time.
Oh, you were?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
So I was still doing other stuff to... as I was trying to grow.
A lot of evening weekends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when my son was at his dad's, like, I just worked. That's all
what
I
else
did.
are you going to do? Yeah.
Yeah, it exploded.
I bet.
And I just remember thinking, like, oh, my gosh, what have I done? Like, this is too much.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to be working around the clock like that. But I finally, kind of long story short, family friends were renting a bigger, like, commercial building, and they didn't need the office space.
Yeah.
So they asked if I wanted to rent it.
Nice.
And so I forget how big it is. I think it's like 20 by 30 feet or something.
Yeah.
So much bigger than where I was.
So you didn't move into this guy's lab that you...
No,
Oh.
it was in his home. He had an actual, like, bedroom.
Oh, that would have been odd.
Yeah, yeah. And I didn't want to drive to South Fort Worth. I'm North Fort Worth. Traffic is
basically
terrible.
You just got the accounts.
I got
and
the
maybe
accounts.
his machines and products. And
I did buy a lot of his equipment. We kind of
Yeah.
came up with just a lump sum price, and me and my brother and one of his friends, we went down there and cleaned everything out, like the lab benches, the cabinets. He didn't want any of it. He wanted it gone because he was selling his house. He was selling it, so he didn't need to leave it in there. And so that's how I got that stuff. So I got a really great deal.
So you hauled it all the way up to the...
Yeah. My brother had a landscaping business at the time and had a trailer.
Nice.
And
Good to know people.
We loaded that sucker up, and then we put it all in my garage. My garage was full for a while.
Sure.
Because I had to just go through. There was stuff that I didn't need or stuff that was just too old to use.
I get it.
So I slowly started going through that and then moving it over to the new spot. We finally got in there. I guess it was in March. And then I hired my first employee.
Wow.
And things got so much better after that. I wasn't working around the clock.
How'd you find this employee?
So her husband, he is an assistant also. And he's also working on building a denture lab. And the temping agency that I worked for when I assisted too, she got me in contact with him. She kind of knew what I was looking for. And she's like, I might have somebody that can help you. So I met with him a few times. And then when I told him what I really needed, he was like, well, I think my wife can help you more than I can.
Interesting.
And so I was like, yeah, let's do it. So
she had experience?
I mean, a little bit, just watching her husband. She didn't have a whole lot.
Trainable, though?
Oh, yeah.
That's the
important
thing.
And I kind of like, because then you kind of teach them how you want, right?
Yeah.
And so she's been awesome.
Really? Yeah.
She'll be with me a year in March 18th.
Nice.
And she learned quick. She's very artistic. So when it comes to the acrylic designs, she's got it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been good. I've really enjoyed having her, and it's helped a ton. So.
Nice.
Yes, so it's been good.
You exploded into a business with employees. What's the name of the lab? I don't think we've even asked.
Destination Orthodontic Lab.
Destination Orthodontic. Where'd you get the name from?
So I am a beach girl. Like,
in Texas.
Yeah, and Texas beaches suck. So my beach is Destin, Florida.
Oh.
We go there at least once a year, and I have for about 20 years. It's just my place. Like, that is where I find rest, and, like, my soul needs it. Like, I need it at least once a year. So I've always kind of known that I wanted something to do, the name to have something to do with that. So came up with that, and my lab is actually, it's beach themed. I've got beach pictures hanging up. It's very bright and colorful. The colors are blue and green, and so it's fun. It's not this dark, dungy lab
that everyone assumes ortho technicians are in.
Yeah.
You know, welcome to my lab. Yeah.
I've got windows and light, and so it's been. I love it.
What's next? Are you looking to expand? Are you looking to bring in more employees, or?
I think.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to be a really big lab because then I don't get to make appliances anymore. I'm going to be too busy managing people.
Yep, you'll become a HR person very quickly.
Yes, and I really don't. Not right now. Maybe when I'm older and I don't really want to be bending wires and my back is giving out because I'm bent over a lab bench. Okay, maybe. But right now I like being a part of it still. And so I would love to gain maybe a couple more good, consistent accounts. I have 2 right now.
Enough to keep you busy?
Yeah, I mean, what I have right now is enough to, keep things going. But enough to where I could maybe hire one more person and then – we'll see. I don't know. I know digital, like, I'm going to eventually have to get a printer.
Oh, yeah.
I know everything's trending that way, and it's cool. The stuff that you can do with the printers now is really cool.
Yeah.
I'm just not ready to take on that financial.
It's a big jump, especially for a small business.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you will.
Yeah.
They're going to get more and more affordable and more needed, and you'll get it.
Yep.
How do you advertise? Do you?
Social media.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I go into offices. I have folders that I've made with my logo, and they've got price sheet and lab scripts and stuff inside of them. And so I'll just go in and hand
you
it to
do
the
that?
front desk. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's important that they see me. Like, I'm the owner. I still do a lot of drop-off and pickups and stuff.
Do you really?
I think that's important that they can talk to me. If something's wrong, I'm in here. Tell me. Like, I want to know.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, too, I think, like, I want to build relationships. I don't want it just to be this, oh, here's your retainers. Like, I want to know things about the employees and the doctor. Like, I want to build that. So
that's great. Is most of your accounts local? All of them, or do you ship
all
out?
All of them are, yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, I've had a few just random. I think the farthest I've done anything with was in New Mexico, and
just
it was
randomly.
Well,
just they found
it was
you on
a
Facebook?
doctor I used to work with, and she knew I was doing it, so they just sent a abandoned loop. But that's the farthest I've gotten.
That's still cool, though.
Yeah.
That's still cool. It's neat to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe someday I'll have this goal where I can see if I can get something from every state.
There
all
you
50
go.
states, and, like, just have a map in my lab and start checking off the states that's and stuff.
I love it. Like, we're in Indiana, and a majority of us is local, but we do some shipping. And then all of a sudden, Connecticut. You're like, where the heck did you come from?
Yeah.
And they're like, we saw you online. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lab in Connecticut.
There probably is. Yeah. I've started the process of building a website, but it's not done. I need to finish it, but it's just all been through Facebook and Instagram.
It's amazing what you can do.
It really is, and it's free.
It is free. You just got to be consistent with it. Is it common for ortho to be utilized by local offices? Is that like a big thing? Because like removables, that's very common that you only get accounts really that are close for repairs and things. Is that common with ortho?
Typically, I think because it's ideal to get retainers back quickly.
Yeah.
Most orthodontists, they take the brackets off and then impress. So they want those retainers back before teeth start shifting.
Sure.
So, I mean, I do a 5 business day turnaround.
Is that common?
I think so.
Yeah.
I've seen 2 weeks, and some people do 3 days, which that's,
insane. Yeah.
That's a little bit stressful to me. So
I know you don't know much about Crown and Bridge, but somehow, somewhere in the history, crowns were a 6-day turnaround. We don't know who started it, but it's the most common amount.
Ooh.
6 days.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I can do it in a day if I really tried. But it's become like an industry standard, so you're like, all right. Everyone does it.
Well, that's funny because when I would work in offices as an assistant, labs would say 3 weeks.
But I worry about those because that makes me wonder if it stays in the lab.
Oh, yeah.
Is ortho a big outsourcing thing? Do a lot of offices outsource ortho?
For the most part.
Is it a problem?
No, it doesn't. I don't think it affects me a whole lot.
No.
But
No, I mean, it really doesn't affect any lab, but it's a part of the industry,
Right.
and you can't do anything about it. So.
I mean, I know like a lot of offices I see, because I'm also on this Facebook page for orthodontic assistants.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of chatter about offices buying their own printers to do their own aligners. But I don't do aligners in my lab at all, so that doesn't affect me. That's not something I even really want to push or get into, I don't think. No. Because there's just too much out there.
It's going to be a saturated market.
Yeah.
Ever since that Invisalign patent or whatever ran out, everyone's jumping on board, and it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah, that's not something I care to really.
What do you mostly make? Band and loops, Holly retainers?
Mostly
That's
just
about
Holly
all I know.
retainers,
Yeah?
removable expanders, fixed expanders. I do quite a bit of space maintainers. Typically, it's the pedo offices that want the space maintainers.
Sure.
And then, like my biggest account, it's a lot of Hollies and a lot of removable expanders.
Nice.
It's a lot of fun because that office lets the kids pick designs. And that's actually my favorite part. I love
doing the acrylic design.
Mm-hmm. I get bored with standard pink. When people put standard pink on there for their acrylic color, I'm like, God, live a little.
What do you do, like the tiger stripes and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
And I've seen them all.
Yeah, tiger stripes, rainbows, camo. We've done galaxy looking.
Yeah.
It's actually really cool. We do logos for stuff. You know, if kids pick something, I use my Cricut cutter to cut out whatever it is in vinyl, and we put it in between acrylic layers. We've actually done, this is kind of random, but last summer I took my son to Galveston, and we went to this toy store, and they had these kid-friendly nail polishes sitting on the counter, and I was like, well, what makes them kid-friendly? She said, I don't know, something like it's safe for the kids to bite their nails, which all nail polish is FDA approved for that reason, or it should be. But supposedly this is supposed to be even more kid-friendly safe.
Yeah.
So I got to looking at them, and I was like, I wonder if there's a way I can do this with retainers. So what I do is the two colors I bought, it's a clear nail polish, but it's got these like glitter additives or something in them. And so I do one, like a thin layer of acrylic, let it set, and then I paint the nail polish on the inside, like not where the edge is or anything, like just right in the middle, and then do a clear layer on top. And so it actually looks really cool.
This is nail polish you're using.
It's nail polish.
Nice.
And so it's in between the acrylics, and I've got some pictures on my Instagram page. But one of them is called Unicorn Tears. So it's got this like holographic look to it.
Cool.
And then there's another one called Troublemaker, and it's these dots, and kids love it. That's
really
one of the big things that people pick from that office. So,
what do you get the nail polish from that store and?
When I need more, I'll just order it.
Yeah.
I found the company. It's called Polish Me Silly, and
that's hilarious.
It's marketed for little kids.
Yeah.
And so, when I need more, I'll just buy.
It's got to be a good price compared to other dental related. I mean, we all know how much if you add the word dental or ortho, everything's marked up. Yeah.
And I don't buy anything. Like all of my hand pieces and stuff, I've bought on Amazon or eBay because they're drastically cheaper.
Yeah. They might not last as long, but...
Yeah. Well, they've done okay. I mean, I've had everything a couple years, so...
I'll be honest, we bought a few off eBay and I mean, they still run, and when they die, you just replace it, and it's not a huge deal.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Tiffany, thank you so much for sitting down. Love the story.
Yeah.
Love the ortho. The AOLP.
Yes.
We're very excited for it.
Yes.
And you guys will have a big thing coming up in March, part of the DLAT.
Yes.
So we'll see you there again.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So we are here at LMT Chicago with Leon. How do you pronounce your last name?
Hermanides. I don't know.
Hermanides, people.
Hermanides.
I'm
Leon
Hermanides. How to say this
What is Hermanides? Where is that from?
South Africa.
And that's Heather Voss, just saying.
You're South African too?
So, yeah. So we had when I went to school in South Africa, we did a 4-year bachelor's degree. to be a
Wow.
dental technician.
Really?
I
Is
love that.
required? Or?
Yeah, it was required.
Wow.
To work in a dental lab.
It's pretty similar to how it is in Europe too, though, right? Like,
Well, at one point...
By the way, that's Heather Voss joining
I
in.
did. I said it
Oh,
already.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I said
Again.
that's Heather Voss.
So-
She loves being on the podcast. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Where's
up.
Heather's mute button so she doesn't...
So, how did you go from South Africa to Washington?
Well,
Must have been a woman.
Similar climate, right?
no, yeah. So, yes, it was. So I left South Africa about 3 weeks after I graduated from college
Wow.
and moved to London. I was working in London for close to 4 years. And London was... I love the city, but, it was tough. And I wanted something different. I wanted another challenge. And I met somebody who introduced me to a lab not here in Chicago, but in Seattle. And I came out and I interviewed with them for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And then...
Fell in love
yeah.
with the state.
Oh, with the state. Yeah, so no, then I moved out to Seattle in 95.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I worked for them for 3 years and then started my own business in 98.
What were you doing at this lab?
Ceramic. I
Okay.
started out like diagnostic waxing. So I started out like waxing and doing that type of stuff and then went up to doing ceramic. And one of their biggest clients was John Coyce. So
Wow.
That's how I kind of ended up moving in the direction that my career's gone.
Yeah, I mean, you're super high end, correct? You're
No, I don't
It
think
seems
we're
like I've
super
seen-
high end. I mean, I think we
modest.
have... Pardon?
Modest.
How many $99 crowns do you do?
Zero.
Can somebody just mute her, please? So, I think, look, by like 2007, we were very high end. We were very super exclusive. Some of our crowns were $700-800 a unit.
Wow.
And in 2008 or 9, that market kind of collapsed, and so we had.
Are you feeling her
about
up?
to kick it. No,
I'm watching you guy. I'm like,
about to
he's
kick
doing
your
something
instruments
with
off the. So she in about
trapped.
2008 or 9, we had to reinvent ourselves. I mean, the market just came undone,
Yeah.
and just the type of work we were doing was a lot of larger comprehensive care cases. So we were doing. I can't even remember the numbers now, but just arch after arch after arch, and 6-unit anteriors, and that went away, and so we had to rebuild in a different mold, and part of it was the restoration design. PFMs were expensive to make, expensive to sell, and so we started looking at our product mix, trying to find more technology solutions. So we bought our first mill in 2007.
You were early.
So the old Wieland 4030M, 4010, I don't know, whatever, that one.
Yeah.
The benchtop, 2 magazine mill.
Still running?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still running.
Those things are amazing.
That is absolutely the most incredible machine.
We still have a Mini that we've had for
Really?
8 years probably.
Wow.
Still cranking.
Yeah.
I can't get it repaired.
Right. So that's one of the things, I have a team member, Tim, who took on the technology, basically came to me one day and he went, Leon, I can't watch these people work on this stuff. Give it to me. You'll never regret it. And I've never looked back because he has made the technology department or the technology part of our lab his own. He's incredible.
Wow.
He walks into the room and he looks at the machines and starts talking to them. He's like
He had a great quote. He's like, he speaks machine.
Yeah.
That's his language.
When
You gotta have that,
he takes the
though.
lid off the machine and he knows where to look, and I just see him take the lid off the machine and I'm like crying inside.
This is in-house you have this guy?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Jealous,
Yeah,
right?
a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Serious
Yeah,
jealous,
so
yeah.
It's not to the point where he takes a USB cable and plugs it in the back of his neck, does he? Because that'd be a little
May-
weird.
it could be at night.
Someday, yeah. Power nap.
I haven't checked recently. I'm going to have to look. He's going to
So
hate
are
me
you-
now.
Yeah, he's going to be like, what the hell?
We got into technology and started looking at how do you now take a similar business model and try to fit it into kind of a lower cost bracket.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how we stayed successful. So we had to figure a lot of strategies out. As we started coming out of like 2008, 2009, 2010, in Washington State, the Delta Dental affiliate cut the reimbursement to the dentist by up to 30%.
I think you and I talked about that previously.
Yeah, and
I remember that conversation.
It's a very interesting thing because I thought we were kind of above that and a little bit removed from what could happen. And actually what happened was it took a toll on us as well because, I think in Washington State at the time, Delta had a monopoly. It was 80% of the dentists were Delta dentists. So, it affects everybody. Their strategy is that if you see a Delta patient, you can't charge them a different fee for an anterior procedure. You charge them your crown fee.
Yeah.
And so that's difficult for the dentist to manage the cost variability when they start doing larger cases. So it affected us, and we had to kind of rebuild and do our thing.
We're making eye contact.
I see that.
She's my girlfriend, okay?
You two are scary.
Do you want us to leave you alone?
You've taken over. No.
I'd say get a room, but...
Yeah, you're just jealous.
Yes. Salacious gossip.
Yep.
I hope this goes online.
It will.
Cool. We kind of reinvented. So I would say now we're not high end like that. We don't have a $700 or $800 crown anymore.
Yeah.
I think our highest price crown is about $500.
It's still ridiculous.
I know.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. I really
do. I'm in Indiana. I can't.
Yeah, I love hearing that.
But look, I mean, what we did was change our. We have a brand. I mean, I honestly think what we successfully managed was building a brand, and so I have clients all over the country.
Yeah.
We have people. I used to send Heather pictures of bonnet and boxes arriving in the lab, because even people using these larger labs, they have cases that they don't want to send it.
Oh, yeah.
That they want managed at a high level.
Yes, I love
that.
I
love getting work in the Glidewell box.
Oh,
I don't care how if you're not using my box, it's even cheaper.
Yeah, and I mean,
because I don't have the cost of a box.
Right, and I think it's great because I think it's just this healthy diversity that exists in the industry, that everybody has this very dynamic way of how they look at what they have to do. And at this point, my brand and our brand in the lab is about predictability. So taking people from unhealthy, broken down dentition to healthy, stable dentition, and managing that process, because I think very few people can successfully manage that process.
That complexity.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I've been able to do, I've done a lot of continuing education in my time, So at the moment, I am
Aren't you faculty at COIS?
It's not really faculty. I'm a scientific advisor for dental lab technology. I'm a clinical instructor, one of only two in the system.
2 technicians.
One of only 2 technicians. And so I did a lot of learning to know, because I think the true beauty of what we've been able to build in the lab is that we've been able to build this very predictable, simple system, taking very complex information and making it work.
Yeah.
So when people tell me that we're high end or something, you can buy a pretty crown anywhere. Seriously.
Yeah.
You can buy prettier crowns than we sell, probably for less. I mean, I see people online and and I'm like, fantastic dentistry. But what I don't think people can do is put the cases together in the way we can do it.
Yeah.
And that's how we built our brand.
Interesting.
And our brand is just all about making the dentist successful. That we focused absolutely entirely on that. And I know that there's always the price consciousness and there's things that are in the market that we all have to be aware of, and that doesn't go away from me. I think what we have to do is realize, you know, I'll never forget, I don't know if you guys know or heard of Paul Homily.
Yes.
So I saw
Absolutely.
Paul give a
Yeah.
presentation, and it must have been
We're so dating
2005. Yeah, you guys are dating yourself. You don't look that old.
Carry on.
Not bad for 70.
I know, right? And she came in under her
Not
own
funny.
power.
Carry on.
But Paul, I'll never forget seeing Paul present, and one of the things that he presented was that most dentists expect that when they do more units, that their profit margins go up, like in a case, right?
Yeah.
And actually, it was not true. That after 3 units, their profit margins went down. So it's hard to accept that you can do a case for $50,000 and lose money.
Yeah.
But it's true.
Yeah.
Because if you look at how many appointments it takes to manage those cases and the complexity and the nature of what they're doing, it's insane. You know, it's funny to me because you bump into these things all the way through your career. You don't even realize that you're taking them on board, you know? And then one day you have this strategy and you look back and you're like, where the hell did that come from, right?
Yeah.
And I think about these things like Paul's lecture and these different things, and he was right. That was my experience of working with dentists, that they were struggling with the complexity to still make a living. So we've really been able to design this system of taking somebody from broken down in trouble to, you know, healthy, stable new dentition in a very predictable way.
Are you back to the point where you're doing full arches again?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
the majority of what you do.
So what we did was we created more separation between our anterior and our posterior pricing. So we still do some general dentistry.
Sure.
Smart.
It's kind of cash flow, right? What I found really difficult to manage with the large cases is that they funnel everything. You know, there's so many units, it'll suck the life out of your team because they're stuck on one thing for so long. And so you have to have the turnover, the cash flow. So I have a couple of technicians. I have one lady in particular is a fantastic technician, no desire to do anteriors. She has young children, she's, you know, all these things. And
Don't want that stress.
No, and I get it, right? So my goal then is how do I make her successful doing what she wants to do?
And benefiting.
And benefiting the organization and everybody, right? And I think that's really important. And so we managed to keep both going, and we do still do, you know, a significant amount of posterior dentistry, single units and stuff. And it's been an interesting transition to what we've built now. So you know, in the old days I used to do a lot of lectures on ceramics and all this, you know.
I think I saw you guys do one
remember that.
together.
Yes, we
Winter
did.
Days.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I haven't done a technical lecture like that in a long time because I think there's people that do it better and they've got glitzier stuff and it's very glamorous. And I think that it's almost like, okay, I get it, but you're missing the point. The point is, how do I make people successful putting that to work?
Yeah.
And I think...
How do I make it profitable?
How do I make it profitable?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean...
Name of the game.
It is. I've ended up recently doing a lot more business lectures. Like when I'm doing... How do I manage profitability when I start... You know, because I'll tell you this, it's possible to do an $800 a unit crown and make a loss. I was that person.
Wow.
Seriously. So this may not be a popular viewpoint and somebody's probably going to shoot me, but honestly, a lot of the people that are lecturing about what they do can't make money doing what they do, right? They make a living lecturing. So, you know, that's a trap.
All views expressed on voices from the bench are not the views of the host.
It may not be popular, but does it make it any less valid?
No, I get it. You go to these talks and they're presenting this beautiful work and it's the greatest thing you've ever seen, and you know they probably don't do it
in real life. They did it for this slide picture.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you can.
How many tries did it take them to get to that?
Yeah, let's see
right?
the one that didn't turn out.
Exactly. Show me the first 12 that didn't, turn out as nice.
So that's true.
I was at a lecture. The guy was showing a single central. It was the ceramic symposium, the quintessence thing in San Diego. It was years ago. And I can't remember who the presenter was. Shows this beautiful case, single central, drop dead gorgeous. I find out later from somebody who was in the behind the scenes that he did it 15 times. So tell me how you make a living doing that. Seriously.
Yeah, you don't.
Did you charge 15 times for that?
I was just going to say.
Right? That's like a $25,000 case.
And you can't.
Who wants to do a single central anyways?
And you
just saying. Do two.
You can't use Photoshop on the real thing.
Right.
Because they do.
No, and so I found it very disingenuous, so I'm this young technician. I want to get better. I got this business. I can do the pretty stuff, right? I'm getting $700, $800 a unit. And I'm slowly recognizing that I'm doing it and making a lot. And I was like, this is just craziness. And so part of like rebuilding my business and building this new model of my business, I don't actually do crowns anymore. I teach all the time. I teach my people all the time, right? We're every day going, look at this, look at that. How do you do this? What do you do? And that's now the new model of Leon that I think is, and I'm happier.
Are you?
Yeah.
You seem like you are.
I am.
I haven't seen you in many, many years. I think you went away to evaluate life and evaluate your business. And
it was a band camp.
Yeah, but you came back stronger. It's obvious. So
but
I was at
not
band
even.
camp.
I mean, honestly, I it's been 4 or 5 years since I was built into the production schedule. So it's been a while, but actually longer. But I think it's a really very fulfilling part of my life now, versus this time when, because I got to be honest, the ego bruise that you get every time one of those big cases comes back. Like, there's only so
Heather
many
and I talked about that a couple weeks ago.
There's only so many you can take in your lifetime, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like
it does bruise your ego.
It's like having a child.
It's like having a dagger through your heart when the phone rings, right?
Very disappointing.
And you just want to, like, go in the back corner and cry. And what I've found is I don't take it so personally when it's the work of my team.
Else is.
Yes.
But I don't. I just don't take it so personally.
You just yell at them.
And it's almost like I can actually be objective about what's happened. And so instead of getting like pissy and moany, I'm sitting down and I'm objectively evaluating, was it us? Was it something I missed? Because if I'm planning all these cases and it doesn't go right, I missed something.
You might be part of the problem. Yeah.
It's easier to be part of a decision problem than part of a made something problem.
Yep.
It's just emotionally.
Interesting.
I was just going to say it takes the emotion out of it.
So
because we are such emotional beings,
especially
as
technicians.
Especially you,
Barbara. Not me.
Emotionally aggressive.
You can see stoic, deadpan, right?
Dead to the world over there, Heather.
Yeah.
Right.
And not just because she's been on the vodka this morning.
And it wasn't because we went out last night.
Not
either.
even. No, we don't do those things.
Never.
No. So that's why I'm really happy about where I am right now and what's happening.
You can see it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So happy we got you guys on the podcast.
Yeah.
Finally.
Finally.
With your sexy South African accent.
I just want you to know I was never invited. So just so you know.
We're actually to the point now where we don't invite.
Semantics. It's all semantics.
Wow.
So what we have then is two egos colliding because you weren't going to ask and I wasn't going to offer.
That's why we miss so much. People walk by, we just stare at each other. And then they keep going because no one makes that first move.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, I was a teenage boy. You never make the first move. Right?
I appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Thank you so much. Great to have you guys on.
Really, well done. I appreciate what you're doing here.
Thank you.
It's fantastic.
Thanks.
And as
Good
always,
to see you.
beautiful Barbara. Thank you. Well done, Elvis.
Thanks,
Great
babe.
idea.
I know I'm
much.
the eye candy here, so it's all
Oh,
right.
yeah.
I get it.
Just what I was thinking.
Appreciate it.
Have a great meeting.
You
You
too.
too.
A huge thanks to Tiffany Prater, Leon Hermanides, and Heather Voss. Now, obviously, this was recorded back in February, and Tiffany and I talked about the upcoming March DLAT AOLP meeting, but unfortunately, that was, of course, rescheduled till October 1st to the 4th. So Barb and I will keep you updated on that and any other events that are going to happen.
I actually miss traveling. I have to be honest. We should be in Denver right now for the NADL meeting, and we are at home being safe, but I'm super bummed.
Yeah, we should be getting ready for the FDLA, and then the week after that, the LMT LabDay West. But unfortunately, both of those events were canceled. But please keep in mind, as Bennett mentioned, and as you see online a lot, there's a ton of webinars that you can get some sort of connection to the industry on. So we encourage you to check those out.
Yeah, we've got webinars coming out, so, everywhere. I was going to say something, but I stopped myself.
There's a lot of them out there, I'm not going to lie. It seems like you could do 4 a day if you needed to.
Yep. And you know what? Take it all in. Let's figure out where we're going to go post-COVID-19, and let's blow this thing out of our water. Let's get back to normal, guys.
Please.
Yep.
All right, everybody. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next week.
Take care. Stay safe. Wear a mask.
Have a good one. Bye. Yay, I stayed on it the whole time.